Alrighty, folks. For those of you that are animal lovers like myself, I mean, I have a yapping little dog back there. Huge victory for animal lovers, animal rights activists, and just children of the light in general. For those of you that know and are aware, Fauci was doing unspeakable experiments on Bengal dogs, you know, the little dog. Was doing unspeakable acts of heinousy on these animals. No question in my mind it rose to the level of cruelty to animals. I don't believe there's any question in my mind. You know, your mileage may vary. But in any event, the good news today that I am here to report to you is that Ridgeland Farms, Ridgeway, however you say it, they're being shut down. Their doors are closing. The Beagle pups have all been rescued, and my understanding is that some of them have already been found loving homes, and that they are already adapting quite well. And you know, the Beagle dog is arguably one of the most loving dogs on the face of the planet, according to many people. And I tend to agree with that. They tend to be very, very loving animals. So, you know, so for them to be used as guinea pigs, for lack of a better term, was especially heinous in my opinion. You know, you take the most loving animal in the dog kingdom and then subject it to unspeakable torture and just evil, you know, I mean, just evil. Anyways, so Ridgeway, whatever, I forget the name of it. Nope, don't really care because I hate them. They're going down. They're shutting their doors. This is a huge win for people of the light. Huge win. Another evil establishment has been taken down. And believe me, when I say evil, I'm not being facetious in any way. I mean, the level of torture that was done to these animals is, well, I mean, you got to read it for yourself. I'm not gonna say it because, you know, some of you might lose your damn lunch. So no, you know, you need to read it for yourself, see the videos for yourself. You know, if you believe you got a strong enough stomach. I mean, you know, I was on the streets of Cincinnati. I consider myself a pretty tough dude. And even I kind of balked at some of the things that were going on in these, well, dare I say it, chop shops. I mean, you know, torture chambers, chop shops. Just unbelievable what was said and done there. Just unbelievable shit. And so, yeah, I'm glad they're being shut down. Now, you know, you say, well, did Ridgewood, whatever, were they directly involved in what Fauci and his crew were doing? No, they were not. But they were a major supplier of the Beagles to Fauci and other places like his laboratory. So, you know, there is a connection there, albeit minor. Still yet, the shutting down of this facility at Ridgewood, Ridgelawn, whatever the fuck it is a huge win for the light, huge win for animal rights. Just an amazing thing. And like I said, according to what little bit I've read of the story, some of the Beagles have already been found loving homes and have already adapted well. You know, like I said, the Beagle is touted as being one of the most loving animals there is. I tend to agree with that statement. And supposedly the Beagles have just, just started loving the new owner and really sweet stuff, you know. Tear-jerker shit, you know, that you whip out your Kleenex tissues and shit, you know. But anyway, enough said of that. Good stuff all the way around. Definitely good news, and God knows we need good news. So this is definitely good news. And hopefully we can drag Fauci kicking and screaming back to either a House or Senate subcommittee meeting to answer for just the unspeakable things that I've seen and heard and read about. And I just incredible stuff that just should never been allowed to occur, in my opinion. But whatever, I wasn't there. I had no control. If I had control, I would have probably reined in a lot of that shit. But unfortunately, I was not. Now, having said that, you say, now I know somebody's going to say, well, Ron, this is just a drop in the bucket. There's a whole bunch of these places out there. Unfortunately, you're correct on that. However, maybe this will be a red flag to some of the other places to think twice about what they're doing and who they're selling these animals to. The allure of big money, folks, is strong. Nobody denies that. Nobody is going to deny that the lure of big money is very strong, because it is. However, there's the moral and ethical and logical things that need to be considered, when dealing with any situation, whether it be legal or otherwise. And I myself personally, if I was approached and said, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars that literally rises to the ceiling of your building, I'm going to tell them no, because of the moral and ethical implications, see. Of course, then I'm high priest of freedom religion, and so I have to consider those things when I make my decisions. So I'm in a little bit different, situation than, say, some other people might be in. Still yet, like I said, you got the legal, the moral, and the ethical ramifications that have to be considered. They have to be thought about and processed out. And, I would have said no. I don't care if the damn money reached all the way to the ceiling. I would have said no. Because I don't want that negative karma coming back on my ass. You know what I mean? Because it will. Karma's a bitch, folks. Karma comes back on you. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, karma eventually comes back on you. Yes, it does. Even atheists believe in karma, for fuck's sake. So, because this is something that we have seen actually work out in the real world, okay? We've actually seen karma work in the real world. And so as a result, even atheists believe in karma. So, so me personally, I don't want that negativity, man. I don't want that negative shit coming back on my ass. No way. So, yeah. This is a huge fucking victory. This is a huge victory for the light. This is a huge victory for animal rights. This is a huge victory for people that just believe in justice, These animals finally got the justice they deserved. They were liberated and given loving homes. Now, I think Fauci needs to be brought back in again and needs to be grilled a little bit more stringently than he was. I want to see a conviction. I want to see a conviction. I watch tons of these House and Senate subcommittee meetings, and I'm sure you have too. We've watched these meetings and and there's a lot of good info that comes out of them, and there's a lot of interesting facts and pictures and video and stuff that just boggles the mind in some cases. But I have yet to see any meaningful convictions as of late. I want to see convictions. And folks, get on the horn to your congressman and your senator, because I get this too all the time. It's, Ron, what can I do? I'm just one person. What can I do? You can call your congressman and senator, or you can email them, or you can snail mail them. Snail mail, believe it or not, actually gets their attention. I always thought they just threw it in the trash. But supposedly they actually respond to snail mail, believe it or not. So if that's the case, then send them a snail mail. Send them an email. Call them on the phone. You know, you don't want to pester them because then, you know, then you might get a knock from the FBI on your door. But, you know, aside from that, you know, make it clear, hey, we want convictions. Fauci needs to pay for the inhumanity he has done to these animals and to, you know, God knows who else he's experimented. I mean, has he experimented on any humans? You know, there's talk that Bill Gates experimented on humans, and Bill Gates and Fauci used to be tight, right? So, I mean, you know, is it possible that Fauci was in on some of that human experimentation too? Inquiring minds want to know, right? And therefore, we need to bring him back in front of the subcommittee meetings again and grill the shit out of this guy. And get some information and get a conviction. I want to see convictions. Call your congressman, call your senator. Demand convictions on cruelty to animals perpetrated by Fauci and Gates and anybody else that's out there doing that shit. Because that is cruel and inhumane, and it is, and you know, the moral, like I said, the legal, the moral, and the ethical implications are just off the charts. And there needs to be shit done. And we need a conviction. I want to see convictions, damn it. I want to see some actual convictions happen. You know, yeah, the information we get from these meetings is great. And you know, you're putting people's feet to the fire, and that's great. But it ain't going to do a whole hell of a lot of good unless we get actual convictions, guys. Let's see some convictions. Okay? All right, anyway, enough said about that. I am thrilled, though. This has been a huge victory. This Ridge Farm, whatever the fuck it is going down with all hands. And that's just fucking awesome. And glad to see that the beagles are rescued, and they're already finding them good, loving homes, I've heard, the article says, which is just awesome. So yeah, you know, call your congressman, call your senator. Say, hey, when are we going to see convictions on Fauci, man? It's long overdue. It's long overdue. We need convictions. I don't care if we have to throw him in jail for jaywalking. Get his ass in jail. Get him in jail. You know? I mean, this is getting ridiculous. The man has done just unspeakable evil to both humans and animals, and he needs to pay for that crime. You know, as long as these people think they ain't got to pay, they're going to keep doing evil. They need to know that they got to pay for that evil. They need to know that the government will eventually make them pay for the evil that they've done to humanity and animals and whatever else they're into. I mean, you know, if you're torturing, let's say you're torturing a non-corporeal entity. You say, well, Vaughn, it's not human. I don't give a shit. Torture's torture. Are you torturing this creature? If the answer is yes, then you're a piece of shit. Right? Yeah. So, you know, I don't give a damn what it is or who it is. If you're doing evil, you need to pay. You need to pay for that. You know, that's why we have, well, that's one of the reasons why we have government. Is so that they can inflict justice upon those that do wrong in the society and in the community. That's the whole damn point. Yeah, right? So, anyway, I'm rambling. I've got 14 minutes on this video. Holy shit. So, I'm going to get out of here, but yeah, this huge victory. And like I said, this Ridge Lawn, whatever the hell it's called, the doors are closing. It's being shut down. And my understanding is it's being shut down permanently. It's not just going to change its name and reopen the doors. No, my understanding is it's being shut down permanently. And I hope that's indeed the case. Anyway, just thought I'd give you the good news, because this is a huge victory. And so y'all have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow. Bye.